What is up, you guys? I'm Charmx. Today I'm going to be reacting to "This is the most dangerous world record to beat" by Real Life Lore. Now, I've never reacted to a Real Life Lore video before, but hopefully this will be quite interesting. As far as, like, the most dangerous world record to beat, I don't know, there's so many dumb and or dangerous things that you can do, so I'm not really sure which one is the most dangerous. But anyway, with that being said, the original link's in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Real Life Lore. Without any further ado, let's begin.
In the long history of insane people trying to one-up one another in stupidly dangerous world records, one of these records stands above all the others as being the most dangerous. That record is the water speed world record. How?
The water speed world record, that's the most? Now I'm even more interested. It's water, you're over water. Like, if you fall out of a boat or whatever, and you land in the water, it's not like you're landing on concrete or hard ground or whatever, right? It's like, it's water. It should be, I mean, it is gonna be hard if you're hitting it at a fast speed, but at the end of the day, it's gonna absorb some of you going into it or whatever.
How fast you can make yourself move while on the water. The current world record was set in 1978, and every official attempt to beat it since has resulted in the person attempting it getting themselves killed. But what?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, that might be the most dangerous. Do not attempt this, you guys.
What makes the attempt so dangerous? It should be pretty obvious if you watch a video of one of these attempts. Traveling at insanely fast speeds of several hundred miles per hour on flimsy boats on a lake is a recipe for disaster waiting to happen. But before the current world record in 1978 was set, the record was already an elusive and deadly prize. Going fast on the water for most of history wasn't really an exciting feat until we figured out how to put gasoline engines on boats. In the 1930s, the competition for the water speed record was in a tight race that kept going back and forth between an American and British team of idiot geniuses.
Yeah, they would have to be somewhat mentally disturbed to attempt to do this.
First casualty in pursuit of the record was perhaps the ironically named Englishman Sir Henry Segrave, who in 1930 set the world record at 99 miles per hour. Apparently unsatisfied with not breaking past 100, he set out immediately afterwards on the same day to try again, but
I like the music you got in the background, it's really grooving. I don't know if I'd say it definitely goes with the tone of the video, because everyone who has tried doing this has passed away. But I like the music.
This time, his boat struck an object in the water which caused it to capsize and killed both him and his co-pilot. The record continued to go back and forth between the Americans and the British until a guy named Malcolm Campbell, bet you'll never guess which of the countries he belonged to, locked the record in place in 1939 before that big global war kind of stopped people from trying for a while.
Oh, that's right, World War II. That started around 1939, didn't it? Was that 1940? I thought it was 1940s it started. I don't know, man. I'm not that good with history. But nonetheless. Wait, so this is what they were doing in between wars? Because, you know, World War I had just happened in, like, 1920 something. So after that, they're trying to recover, and then there's a bunch of madmen racing boats.
Once the 1950s came around, though, and people started figuring out how to put jet engines on their boats, the fatalities of people trying really began to skyrocket.
Yeah, no kidding, putting jet engines on your boat, that's insane.
An Englishman named John Cobb wanted to be the first person to break the 200 mile per hour speed barrier and built a jet-powered boat called Crusader to do it. In 1952, out on Loch Ness, he managed to get up to 210 miles per hour and achieved his goal and the record. But the boat's front plane unfortunately collapsed, which caused the boat to instantly disintegrate, causing Cobb to die from shock. 2 years later, in 1954, the pursuit of the record would claim its next life. The Italian motorboat...
Yeah, this is definitely the world's most dangerous world record. This is insane. Why do people do this? Some things, you know, can make sense, but this doesn't. It's just going fast on a freaking lake. Is it really worth your life? Is it really worth it?
Federation was offering a 5 million lira prize to any Italian that could beat the record. So
$100,000 in 2018? Oh wait, when was this? Wait a minute, I missed something.
Later in 1954, the pursuit of the record would claim its next life. The Italian Motorboat Federation was offering a 5 million lira prize to any Italian that could beat the record, so two Italian businessmen built a piston-engine hydroplane named Laura 3. Traveling across a lake in northern Italy, the boat was going fast at 306 kilometers per hour, but ultimately became unstable and the pilots lost control of it. The boat somersaulted through the water and threw one of the pilots out. Following these disasters, a guy named Donald Campbell son of the previously mentioned Malcolm Campbell, decided to break the record himself. Learning many lessons from Cobb and the Italian designers, he created a new craft called K7 that returned to the classic three-pointer design that was built entirely out of metal to increase rigidity. Over the next 9 years, Campbell...
9 years? You spent 9... What do these people do for livings? Like, I didn't even think of this before. But what do they do to make money, to pay their bills, right? You have to be doing something on the side, right?
And K7 went on to break the world record 7 times, finally getting up to a speed of 445 kilometers per hour in 1967.
Miles.
He became the most prolific water speed record breaker of all time, and he could have retired then, but for whatever sad reason, he didn't. He wanted to go even further and
Yep, he got hooked to beating records or something. There's probably an addiction factor that was there.
Equipped K7 with even more powerful engines to try and beat his own record for an 8th time. He sped across the lake at an average speed of 475 kilometers per hour. And whether he got cocky or just reckless, he decided to go back across the lake immediately before the water had settled down. On this return...
Oh, that would mean that it was wavy, right? So that would mean that when the boat would hit it at such a fast speed, it would like tear the boat apart or something. I could see that making the boat, you know, get destroyed. Like, it sounds as if he was, 1, addicted to beating world records, and addicted to the speed maybe, and 2, it also sounds as if there was a bunch of ego going behind it.
Turn run, K7 began to lose stability, and just 400 meters short of the finish line, K7's nose lifted beyond its critical pitch, took off, somersaulted, and smashed into the water nose first, breaking up as it cartwheeled across the surface. It took 2 weeks of searching just to discover the wreckage, but it wasn't until 33 years later in 2001 that Campbell's body was actually discovered. The world record that I...
What? 33 years later? How? How does that make any sense? How does it take 33 years to... And how did the body last that long? Like, if it was in, it must have been just been bones at that point or something. Because if it was in a lake, it would have, you know, fish would have eaten it. Or, you know, it would have just decomposed in 33 years. And how did it take that long to find? I don't understand. What, was one person looking for it and they just gave up after like 30 minutes or something?
Mentioned at the beginning of this video was finally set in 1978 by the Australian Ken Warby, when he managed to get an average speed of 511 kilometers per hour during his run. He survived to talk about it, but the next 2 attempts to beat his record did not. The first was by an American named Lee Taylor, who had already gotten himself into a horrible crash that nearly him over a decade previously. Determined to take the record from Warby, though, he scheduled his attempt for November 13th.
So this guy already got into a crash and is like, you know what? I lived. Let's go at it again. I don't know. I think there's definitely a large amount of ego that goes behind these people trying to beat this record.
1980, but when the day arrived, he found the conditions on the lake unfavorable and canceled. Not wanting to disappoint the spectators and media, though, he went on a test run anyway and hit a swell which caused the boat to start violently shaking at the high speeds. The boat ended up collapsing into the water, which claimed Taylor's life in front of everybody who would gather to watch him.
What'd I say? There has to be large amounts of ego behind the people doing this. Because the person's like, oh, he didn't want to disappoint the people who came to see it, so I guess that would have been his ego, right? And then he goes and does a test run thing anyway, or whatever. Which, didn't he cancel it because of the weather or whatever? So, and then he goes and does it anyway. Like, there's... Oh my goodness. I can't.
Official attempt at breaking the record was in 1989, when Craig Arfons raced in his fiberglass Kevlar boat that's probably an Xbox Live gamertag somewhere named Rain X Challenger. But like so many before him, his boat somersaulted at 483 kilometers per hour and killed him. Ever since those 2 disasters, no official attempts have been made to break Ken Warby's record set back in 1978.
Good, keep it that way. No one should try to break it. I mean, and even if you do try to break it, don't actually be in it. Make it like remote controlled or something like that, where you don't have to be inside of the boat, because there's like an insane chance that it's gonna break up and get destroyed, right? Like, at least if these people who are insane enough to do this, you know, you have to be aware that there's such a high chance of you passing away if you do it. So at least create it so it can be remote controlled or whatever, so that way you can test it out until it works perfectly. And then you might want to try to do it with you in it. But still, like, it's insane. This is so crazy.
8. But despite the high accident and fatality rate, the water speed record remains highly coveted by both boat enthusiasts and racers.
Why? I understand there is an addiction to going fast. Like, a lot of these people who do this, I assume, there's a lot of, like, ego behind getting that record, right? Even if, like, just getting close, and you're like, oh, I was so close, I want to do it again, maybe I'll get closer, and then maybe I'll even beat it next time, or something like that. There is that. And so there's addiction involved in this. There's also ego of getting close to the record, beating the record, and then you have, like, fans or people showing up to see it, so you don't want to let them down, so there's ego there. It's really just a recipe for disaster. But, yeah, anyway, I hope you guys like this. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, possibly share a friend. I might react to some more of these in the future if you guys want. Make sure you let me know in the comments. But yeah, make sure you guys go subscribe to Real Life Lauren. If you're new, subscribe to the family. I'll see you guys next time. Boop!